A winning attitude isn't something you're born with. It's something you choose. Every day, you get to decide how you show up. No matter what happened yesterday, no matter what someone else said, no matter what the world expects of you. And the truth is, a winning attitude isn't about being the loudest, the strongest, or the fastest. It's about how you carry yourself when no one is watching. It's about your mindset when things don't go your way. It's about resilience, humility, and drive. Mindset is a daily choice. It's not something you set once and forget. It's not a one-time decision you make in the morning and expect to carry you through every challenge without effort. It's something you wake up and choose over and over again, especially when life gives you every reason not to. It's a decision to stay grounded when everything feels uncertain. It's a decision to keep moving forward when the path feels unclear. It's the inner work of asking yourself, who am I choosing to be today? This choice isn't always easy. Some days your energy is low. Some days doubt creeps in. Some days nothing goes as planned, but that's when mindset matters most. It's easy to feel strong when things are smooth, but strength is built in the resistance. Growth happens when you choose to respond with focus, with perspective, with purpose, especially when it would be easier to shut down, give in, or lash out. Mindset isn't about toxic positivity. It doesn't mean you ignore your emotions or pretend everything is perfect. It means you acknowledge what's real, but you don't let it define your direction. You can feel frustration without feeding it. You can face disappointment without drowning in it. You can experience fear and still act with courage. That's what people with a strong mindset do. They don't deny reality. They decide how they're going to meet it. Every day brings a series of small decisions that shape your outlook. Do you complain or do you adapt? Do you focus on the problem or do you look for a solution? Do you shrink when it's uncomfortable or do you stretch? These aren't big dramatic moments. They're quiet, subtle choices made in traffic, in conversations, in setbacks, and in silence. And those choices compound. Over time, they become who you are. Choosing your mindset daily also means taking responsibility. Not for everything that happens, but for how you respond to what happens. It's about no longer blaming your past, your circumstances, or other people for how you show up today. It's understanding that your thoughts shape your emotions shape your behavior, and your behavior shapes your outcomes. And that process begins not when the world changes, but when you do. This choice also means holding yourself to a higher standard even when no one's watching. It's deciding to act with integrity when cutting corners would be easier. It's choosing to be kind even when the world feels harsh. It's staying focused on your goals when distractions are everywhere. That level of mindset doesn't come from hype, it comes from discipline. It's not built in loud moments, it's built in quiet ones over time. Consistently, there's freedom in knowing that your mindset is yours, that no matter what happens around you, you still get to choose how you carry yourself. You can't control every event, but you can control how you interpret it. You can't change every person, but you can change what you allow to influence you. You can't predict the future, but you can prepare for it with clarity and strength. That's the power of mindset. It's not about pretending. It's not about perfection. It's about choice, and that choice made daily becomes your character. It becomes your edge. It becomes the quiet force behind every step you take. So when life gets loud, when the pressure rises, when the world pulls at your focus, go back to that simple truth. You get to choose, and that choice, made again and again, is what separates the reactive from the resilient, the uncertain from the grounded, and the average from the exceptional. Discipline beats motivation every time. Motivation is a feeling. It's fleeting, unreliable, and unpredictable. It comes in waves, often sparked by inspiration, excitement, or the thrill of starting something new. But anyone who's ever tried to build something meaningful knows that feelings don't last. Excitement fades, energy dips, the sparkle of a new idea wears off, and when it does, what's left is discipline. Discipline is what keeps you going when motivation disappears. It's the muscle that pushes you to take action even when you don't feel like it. People often wait for motivation to show up before they move. They wait to feel ready or feel inspired. But the truth is, the most successful people don't rely on how they feel. They rely on what they've committed to. They build routines, habits, and systems that keep them aligned with their goals, even on the hard days. They understand that consistency is the bridge between where they are and where they want to be, and discipline is what holds that bridge together. Discipline isn't flashy, it's not loud or dramatic. It's quiet, often boring and repetitive. It's getting up early when you'd rather sleep. It's showing up to train when you're tired. It's choosing focus over distraction, practice over procrastination, growth over comfort. And it's doing it not once in a while, but day after day, especially when no one is watching. That kind of discipline doesn't come from hype. It comes from clarity, from knowing what you want and being willing to do the work even when it's not exciting. Motivation is emotional, discipline is structural, motivation feels good, discipline builds good, one gives you a spark, the other builds the fire, one is temporary, the other is transformational. The people who achieve extraordinary things aren't always the most motivated. They're the ones who kept showing up when it got hard. They're the ones who didn't wait for inspiration to strike. They built momentum through consistency, and momentum created motivation, not the other way around. The power of discipline is that it creates freedom. When you're disciplined, you don't have to rely on willpower in every moment. You don't have to renegotiate your decisions every day. You've already made the choice. You just follow through. That structure frees your mind, protects your time, and directs your energy toward what actually matters. It eliminates the mental clutter and emotional fatigue that come from constantly debating whether to act. There's also a confidence that grows from discipline. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you build trust with yourself. You prove to your own mind that you can be counted on. That kind of self-trust doesn't come from motivation. It comes from repeated action. From doing the hard thing again and again until it becomes who you are. That's when you stop needing to be hyped up to take action. You just do it because it's what you do. It's part of your identity now. So if you're waiting to feel motivated before you move, you'll be stuck in a cycle of false starts. But if you build discipline, you won't need motivation to begin. You'll already be in motion. And from that motion, momentum is born. And with momentum, everything changes, the work compounds, the results start showing, and the very thing you used to struggle to do becomes your new standard. Discipline isn't easy, but it's simple. Decide what matters. Build the habits. Show up consistently. Do it with or without motivation. And over time, that discipline will take you further than any burst of inspiration ever could. The way you speak to yourself shapes everything. It influences how you think, how you feel, and how you act. Most people spend their lives talking to themselves in ways they'd never talk to someone they care about. They criticize every flaw, doubt every dream, and replay every mistake. That internal dialogue becomes a loop, quiet, constant, and deeply destructive. But the truth is, the voice in your head is the most powerful voice in your life. And if you don't take control of it, it will control you. Speaking powerfully to yourself isn't about arrogance or pretending you're perfect. It's about learning to lead yourself. It's about becoming your own source of strength, your own reminder, your own fire. Because there will be days when no one claps for you, days when support is silent, days when even the people who love you don't fully understand what you're building. On those days, yourself. Talk will either be your downfall or your lifeline. You don't need empty affirmations or hollow positivity. You need truth. You need to speak to yourself like someone who's going to do what they said they'd do, someone who knows their worth, someone who honors their growth. It's not about ignoring fear or failure. It's about reminding yourself that neither has the final say. It's looking in the mirror and saying, "This is hard, but I'm not backing down." It's catching the lie that says you're not good enough and replacing it with, I have everything I need to start right now. Your brain listens to your words. When you tell yourself you're tired, you feel more tired. When you say you're stuck, you act stuck. But when you shift your language, you shift your posture. Saying, "This is a challenge I can handle," feels very different from, "This is too much for me." The words may seem small, but the impact is massive. Your mind believes repetition, so if you want different results, start repeating different things. There's power in how you narrate your own story. You can frame your past as evidence that you're broken, or proof that you're resilient. You can talk about setbacks as signs you should quit, or signs that you're being strengthened. The story doesn't change, but how you tell it changes what you believe about yourself, and what you believe determines what you do. Speaking powerfully to yourself also means catching the language of limitation. I always mess this up. I'll never figure it out. That's just how I am. These aren't facts. They're habits. Habits that keep you in patterns you've outgrown. Instead, practice language that opens doors. I'm learning. I'm improving. This is stretching me, but I'm growing through it. That doesn't mean lying to yourself. It means choosing language that supports your evolution. This kind of self-talk doesn't happen overnight. You'll still hear the old voice sometimes, the one that doubts, criticizes, or hesitates, but now you meet it differently, you recognize it, and then you redirect it. You remind yourself of who you're becoming. You talk to yourself with clarity, with strength, with compassion. You don't wait until you feel confident. You speak like someone who's committed, someone who's grounded, someone who shows up regardless. Eventually, this becomes your default. You don't need hype. You don't need outside approval. Your inner dialogue becomes your own foundation, and when that happens, everything changes. You start walking differently, making decisions more clearly, facing discomfort with more peace. Because now, the voice in your head isn't an enemy, it's an ally, one that pushes you, supports you, and calls you higher. That's the power of speaking to yourself with intention. And that power is always in your hands. Ambition is powerful. It drives you forward, fuels your goals, and keeps your eyes locked on a better version of yourself. It makes you hungry to grow, to stretch, to overcome the limits you once thought were permanent. But ambition without humility becomes dangerous. It turns into entitlement, arrogance, and blind pursuit. It can make you chase success at the expense of integrity and achievement without self-awareness. That's why the real strength doesn't lie in ambition alone. It lies in the balance between ambition and humility. Humility doesn't mean you lack confidence. It doesn't mean shrinking or playing small. It means being grounded. It means knowing you always have something to learn even when you're excelling. It means recognizing that your value isn't measured by titles, followers, or the number of wins you stack up, but by the way you carry yourself through the process. Humility keeps you curious. It keeps you open to feedback. It reminds you that you're still a work in progress, no matter how far you've come. People who balance ambition with humility don't walk around needing to prove their worth. They let their work speak. They don't demand respect. They earn it quietly, consistently. They don't pretend to know it all. They ask questions, they listen, and they stay teachable, because they understand something most people miss. The minute you believe you've arrived is the minute you stop growing. Ambition pushes you to raise the bar, but humility keeps you connected to the truth that greatness isn't a solo journey. Every step forward is built on the support, wisdom, and effort of others, mentors, teammates, even critics. When you acknowledge that, you move through the world with more gratitude and less ego. You lead with service, not just strategy, and people feel that. They trust you more. They follow you more willingly, because you're not just chasing success. You're building something that includes and uplifts others. When ambition gets ahead of humility, it blinds you. You stop hearing the truth. You surround yourself with comfort instead of challenge. You forget what it felt like to struggle, to start from scratch, to not know. But when you stay humble, even in the midst of success, you stay connected to that hunger, the desire to keep learning, to keep improving, to keep earning every inch. That's the kind of ambition that lasts, that doesn't burn out, that doesn't leave damage in its wake. Balancing the two also makes you more resilient. Humility helps you handle failure without falling apart. It reminds you that messing up doesn't make you unworthy. It makes you human. It softens the blow of setbacks because you don't attach your identity to being perfect. You're focused on progress, not pride. And ambition helps you bounce back. It keeps your eyes on what's next instead of what went wrong. Together, they create a mindset that's strong, steady, and sustainable. It's easy to let ambition inflate your ego or to let humility turn into self-doubt. The balance comes from intention, from regularly checking in with yourself, asking, am I still learning? Am I still listening? Am I still growing for the right reasons? It's the quiet discipline of staying hungry without becoming hollow. Being proud without becoming prideful. Knowing your worth, but never thinking you're above the work. That balance is rare. But it's what sets apart those who rise and stay grounded from those who rise and eventually fall. Because ambition will get you through the door, but humility is what keeps you there. When you lead with both, you build not just success, but significance, not just progress, but purpose, and that kind of legacy never fades. Your environment shapes you in ways you don't always see right away. It affects how you think, how you speak, how you act, and what you believe is possible for your life. You might think your goals are just about willpower or personal drive, but so much of your progress depends on what surrounds you every single day. The people you interact with, the energy you absorb, the spaces you occupy, the conversations you hear. These things either reinforce your potential or slowly weaken it. If you're constantly surrounded by negativity, it's only a matter of time before it starts to wear on you. If you spend most of your time with people who complain, criticize, or settle for less, that mindset starts to become your norm. You start making excuses instead of taking ownership. You start doubting yourself instead of pushing forward. You begin to lower your standards, not because you meant to, but because you didn't realize how much your environment was influencing your choices. And it happens slowly, quietly, until one day you look around and wonder how you lost your fire. On the other hand, when you put yourself in an environment that fuels growth, everything changes. When you're around people who believe in excellence, you're more likely to demand more from yourself. When the conversations around you are focused on learning, growth, and possibility, your mindset shifts. You start to think bigger. You start to expect more. You push harder not because someone told you to, but because the energy around you reminds you of what's possible. This is why it's so important to be intentional about who and what you allow into your space. Your environment isn't just physical. It's emotional, mental, and digital too. What you read, what you watch, what you scroll through all day long, it all plays a role. If you constantly consume content that distracts or diminishes your focus, don't be surprised when you feel disconnected from your purpose. If your social media feed is filled with comparison and noise, it's no wonder you struggle to stay confident or grateful. Creating a powerful environment is about alignment. It's about choosing people and spaces that reflect your values, your vision, and your standard. That might mean letting go of certain relationships. It might mean spending less time in places that no longer match where you're headed. It might mean setting boundaries to protect your energy, even if that's uncomfortable. Growth often requires separation, not because you're better than others, but because you're committed to something bigger than your current comfort. Your environment should challenge you, not drain you. It should stretch you, not shrink you. It should remind you of who you're becoming, not who you used to be. And sometimes the best thing you can do for your goals isn't to push harder, it's to step back and ask, is my environment helping me grow, or is it holding me back? Change your environment, and you change your rhythm. You create momentum by building habits that thrive in supportive surroundings. You set yourself up to win by removing constant temptations or distractions. You start to feel different, not by forcing it, but because everything around you begins to support your progress. That's how powerful your environment really is. Success is not just about effort, it's also about atmosphere. So design one that works for you. Curate your space with intention. Choose relationships with care. Filter your influences with discernment, because when your environment starts working with you instead of against you, you don't have to fight your way forward. You begin to flow in the direction of your purpose, and that changes everything. Success is a long-term game. It's not measured in days or weeks. It's built over years of consistent effort, quiet discipline, and relentless patience. It doesn't show up overnight, and it rarely arrives in the form people expect. Most of what creates real success happens behind the scenes, long before any recognition, applause, or results appear. It's the work you do when no one is watching. It's the choices you make when quitting would be easier. It's staying committed to the vision, even when the reward feels far away. In a world that celebrates instant gratification, it's easy to fall into the trap of rushing. We want results now. We want the transformation without the time, the achievement without the process. But real success isn't a quick fix. It's a slow build. It's the result of small actions done well, over and over again. It's waking up early when you're tired, practicing your craft when no one's paying attention, learning from failure without losing your drive. The people who truly win aren't the ones who start fast. They're the ones who keep going when others stop. Long-term success demands patience. It's about playing the infinite game, not chasing a finish line, but building something that lasts. That means accepting that progress is often invisible at first. The seeds you plant today may not bear fruit for months or even years. But that doesn't mean they're not growing. It means you trust the process. You show up anyway. You give your best not because you're guaranteed success tomorrow, but because that's what long-term commitment looks like. It also requires resilience, because the journey is never smooth. There will be setbacks, detours, disappointments. There will be days you question your path, days when things fall apart, days when it feels like everyone else is ahead of you. But the people who win in the long run aren't those who never fall. They're the ones who keep getting back up, who keep learning, keep adjusting, keep moving. They see failure as feedback, not finality. They don't let one bad moment define the whole mission. Success over the long term also means learning to say no to distractions. Every shortcut has a cost. Every time you trade consistency for convenience, you lose momentum. The long game requires focus. It demands that you protect your energy, guard your time, and prioritize the things that truly matter. It means learning to delay pleasure for the sake of purpose. And while that may not be glamorous, it's what builds a foundation strong enough to last. Another key to long-term success is evolving. What worked yesterday might not work tomorrow. The most successful people are students before they are masters. They stay open, curious, and willing to adapt. They're not afraid to reinvent themselves. They understand that success isn't just about achieving one goal, it's about growing into someone who can handle bigger goals with more wisdom, more grace, and more grit. Long-term thinking changes your pace. You stop chasing moments and start building movements. You stop rushing and start refining. You stop needing to prove yourself and start becoming yourself. You play a different game. A game where consistency beats intensity, where depth matters more than speed, and where the real win is who you become in the process. So if you want success, don't just aim for what looks good in the short term. Think bigger, think longer, commit to the path even when the results are slow. Trust the work, trust the process, and trust yourself. Because in the end, the people who win aren't the ones who sprint the fastest. They're the ones who stay in the race, stay true to the mission, and keep showing up long after everyone else has stopped. Success isn't a moment, it's a commitment. It's not about sudden wins or viral breakthroughs, but about the steady, patient pursuit of something meaningful over time. It demands resilience when things get hard, discipline when motivation fades, and focus when distractions are everywhere. The real achievers aren't just the most talented, they're the most consistent. They choose to keep going, to keep growing, and to keep showing up long after the excitement wears off. If you want to win, think long term. Build brick by brick. Stay grounded, stay hungry, and let your journey, not just your results, be the loudest proof of your success.